So I'm going to answer some questions that I had before I modified my car, lowered it or put wheels on it or anything like that. Does the car need caster camber plates? Well, I put the lowest springs that you can normally get, I guess. The iBox Sport lines, and it does not need caster camber plates. You can't adjust the camber or the caster, obviously, but you can lower it and have it adjusted just enough so it has negative camber, a little bit of negative camber, which looks good and helps with the handling. So if you want to get away without doing it with the caster camber plates, you absolutely can. I didn't want to, mess with all that stuff under the hood and the strut towers and drill holes and stuff like that. So I kept it stock there. I didn't use caster camber plates. Does it need an alignment? Yes, it needs an alignment. You just have to straighten it out. The toe goes out. When you lower it, it changes the geometry of the suspension in the front. So the toe goes outwards on both sides. So you just got to pull it in a tiny bit. So you do need an alignment. And I use the iBox Sport lines because I was going after mostly looks and some performance. I mean, I want the car to handle good, better than most cars, and I'm doing other stuff under there before I even do anything power-wise. I'm gonna get the car handling nice and driving nice, and it, as of now, the thing's almost perfect. It really handles good. It grips. I can barely spin the tires anymore. I used to, when I had the stock tires on there and stock suspension and lower control arms, first gear I used to be able to spin all the way through first. Now it grips really good. Another question I had when I was, gonna get my wheels and suspension set up was, will the tires rub in the back? My experience is no, and I'm going to imagine that if you go with the setup that I have or a similar setup, it's not going to rub. I mean, Celine used the setup I have with an inch lowering on it, on the Celine, and there's no chance of that rubbing. It's basically a professionally modified car. So if you do 295s in the back or 305s, I can almost guarantee you won't have a problem. So I didn't need to fender roll my car, and that's what I was going for. I didn't want to have to do that. I want to keep it as close to stock with tasteful mods. I don't want to do all the bolt-on crap under the hood and dismantle the whole engine to put on, cheap bolt-on parts that give me 5 horsepower. If I do anything, I'm just going to go with the Kenny Bell probably. But first I'm going to get the suspension dialed in first before I start going with crazy power. I mean, I like to drive. I like to, handle turns and take turns and stuff. And more importantly, I mean, you can't even go fast on the roads. The freaking cops will get you in 2 minutes, So, acceleration is good, and being able to accelerate fast, but, you can't take it to that level where they coming to get you. So I used 265, 35, 18s in the front, 295, 35, 18s in the back because I kept the 35s in the back without going down to 30s because I wanted that little beefiness in the back to give it that meaner look. You could go 305 30s if you wanted. I mean, you could do whatever size you want, but at some point you're risking having to roll your fenders. So I mean, I'm right at the verge where I'm pretty safe. I can, maybe take my isolators out if I want. But I kind of like the rake it has on it right now, so that's that. So I put the same rubber that Celine put on his wheels with the wheels. I got the Celine replica wheels, and he used the 265, 35, 295. So I just went with that because, Celine's got good taste. They're great company. And, I liked how the profile was on the wheels. I liked how the rubber fit the wheels. It looks good. And, from the side, it looks great. From the back, it looks good. I could have went a little wider. I just wanted that perfect look on the wheel. So when you look at the rim, the tire fits it perfectly. It doesn't bulge out. It's flush. It just looks nice. So that's why I went with that tire setup. And so the ride quality and the handling, the ride quality of the Eibach Sport lines, because they're softer, they're soft spring, because you're lowering it so much, you don't want to put a stiff spring in there, or else you have no suspension travel and a harsh ride. So because they're so low, Eibach knows what they're doing. They made them softer, so the ride quality is actually better than when it was stock. I mean, it's great. It feels tight. It's not harsh over bumps, and it handles unbelievable. You don't always necessarily want the springs to be super, super stiff, because you want your car to have a little bit of body roll to shift the weight onto the outside turning tire and grip. When it shifts that weight onto the two outside tires, it gives it that grip. So you want it to have a little bit of body roll. You don't want it to be like a skateboard. So Eibach knows what they're doing. I've heard people say, "Oh no, I don't want Eibach," or I had them and they were too soft. They're absolutely fantastic. They have great ride quality, and as you can see over the bumps, and they handle great. I mean, if you have a set of sticky tires like I have, the Nitto NT05s, they handle unbelievable. With the low profile tire, an 18-inch rim wheel, really, really handles good. The sport lines are a good choice. I'm very happy with them. I mean, I've had 4 of these SN95 Mustangs, and the factory ride height is way too high. I've had 2 new Edges and 2 SN95, 95 convertible and a 98 Cobra. And the handling of this car is twice as good as any of those cars. Okay, so lower control arms in the back, or control arms in general in the back. I went with BBK grip lower control arms because it has the poly bushings in it, and they're awesome. I mean, the grip is unbelievable. The ride, the handling, it helps the ride. There's no more, swing in that rear end. There's no more movement from side to side. The upper control arms, you want to keep the factory Ford ones. Otherwise, you'll bind that rear end. Around hard turns and hard launches. You can, there's no way to actually fix those upper control arms to improve them if you put poly poly in there, it makes it worse. So the binding gets worse. There's already binding with the stock ones in there. So you put the poly in there and they bind even more. So I would maybe put a set of new factory Ford ones in there if your car's got, 50,000 miles or more, because they do get worn, and put, maximum motorsport lower control arms, or the BBK ones I have are great. They have maximum motorsport adjustable ones, which I kind of wish I got, but that's okay. These ones work great. So that's that on that. I mean, I can't believe the difference. I did the springs and the control arms and the wheels, tires all at once. It's a totally different car. $2,000 and a little bit of work, and the car is absolutely a totally different car. I mean, one of these days I'll do a ride around where I test out the handling, maybe show how good it handles, and the launch, how good it launches. Not really in the mood to risk for getting a ticket today, but one of these days we'll do it. And I'll show the handling performance and how it launches. I mean, the ride height's great. It looks great. You're not sacrificing anything, so you get looks and performance with the iBox Sportlines. And if you go with all the other, similar modifications to what I put on there, it's good. It really works out good for a low price. These cars are great for cheap modifications. So I'll just go around once and show you what I was talking about here. So I mean, I maybe could go with a back to the stock isolators and maybe lower that another 1/4 inch, but I'm pretty happy with it. I kind of like the rake that it has. It looks mean, but the front is a perfect height, and the camber is absolutely perfect. Now I wouldn't change it. If I could adjust it, I wouldn't. It's just perfect, the height and the camber. So you don't need caster camber plates. And the offset's great. I mean, look at it. All right, that's it for today.